Hello,
Hello.
hello. Hi, everyone. We are here doing the things on our own, all on our own. Welcome to Soul Wanderings. I'm AJ,
And I am Natalie.
and we're your hosts of Soul Wanderings. And after a little break, navigating our way into a new normal, if you will,
Indeed.
we are back Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. This is fun. Hi.
Hi. I love being independent. So this is exciting
It is exciting.
in our own space.
Definitely. This is a big change. So, those of you who are joining us, thank you for being here with us. We're really happy to be here. We miss Soul Wandering on a regular basis. And now that we are on our own, doing this independently without a radio station or anything else but YouTube, we did this per your request. It seems to be a thing to be on YouTube. Everyone really likes this platform. And so here we are, and we're really happy to be here. See all of our regulars piling in. You guys, thanks for showing up. We're so happy about that. Yay!
It's good to have an audience out there.
It's good. If you guys are with us, thank you. If you're piling in or listening to a replay, thank you. We're just really happy to be here. You can learn more about myself and Natalie on soulwanderings.com. You can also link to all of our social media platforms there so you can be in the know. So when we make show announcements, and also if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you will see the upcoming lives that we have scheduled, which will be a regular thing again now, beginning today on Wednesday night. It is a little tricky, right? Because we have navigated our way from an old foundation to a new foundation. And in this new space, we have decided to uh, do our show from our own office spaces. There's a wall in between us, but we are in the same building. And that's kind of fun. And also on the other side of the wall from both of us is a classroom where we host classes at our space called Vibes. If you want to learn more about that, you can click on vibesnow.com to see all the good things that we're doing. But it's really neat because you may or may not hear some of the noises in the classroom through the eliminate the background noise, but it's kind of also part of the fun of what we do and how this is all going to work out. So tonight we have a sound bath going, and most of the classes do start at 6 o'clock. So getting them situated and then jumping over here and doing this, it's kind of exciting. I really enjoyed the last little bit here. So so fun. So tonight we are going to talk about a new topic, and like we've done, we do topics now. So our topic tonight is a new normal, and what does that mean? And I say personally, a lot of things. It means a lot of things. So a new normal comes after the change where we've just been coasting along one way, and then the environment or circumstances or people shift, and it causes a change, and it puts us in this place of like adaptation, like we have to adapt, right? So we adapt to this change and create a new way of doing these new things because it's new. It's all a new normal. And that could be like in your own personal life, your work life, a death of a loved one, or as we're seeing things play out in our lives right now due to politics or even disclosure. Most of you probably went directly to that in your head because that's out there in our faces right now, constantly, and all of the divisions taking place and all of the things that are happening and these adjustments. Um, pretty much cause us to step into new ways and possibly new ways of thinking. And so, like with the disclosure, we've been told all along that nothing is real, and yet to find out everything is real and to prepare to coexist with these other life beings. And then we've got, new people in power, if you will. And, I could go on and on. So, what does a new normal look like and feel like for you? And that is our discussion tonight. So, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. When I say a new normal, Natalie, what do you think? What do you feel? What comes to your mind?
Well, often it's the resistance to the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
So often change brings in a sense of uncomfortability and maybe resistance to the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times if you do not practice being comfortable with uncertainty and that things change, a lot of times people resist the fact that their stability, the way that they thought it was going to be, has suddenly changed. And oftentimes a change we're going along like we were just talking about our change, and we knew it was going to be coming and we knew it was coming. But when the exit just showed itself and we was like, oh, it's now. Okay.
It's right now.
Right now. Yes. Just like those freeway exits. You're just like, and off we go to the next direction. And that can be really unsettling for a lot of people. So of course I work in grief and loss all the time. And people are often saying, I don't like this new normal. I want to go back to the way my life was, especially after a significant loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is, you mentioned the political change, and there's a lot of people currently that did not want the change of administration or the new administration that came in to the United States, and they are definitely not liking the new normal. They don't look like the changes that are happening. And wow, that's another one that just took off straight away. It's like changeover, and now that's a big change.
Yeah. And big changes all really quickly too. Like we don't really have an opportunity to adapt like as it's happening, right? Because these changes are taking place and we're still like, wait, what?
Right. It was like, is this the way that it can be? And not certain if this really could be done. And so when back to your question, thinking about the new normal, that's what it's now going to be the normal thing, and it is new, and it definitely brings on, change. Change is good. So along with that often requires a new attitude. There's some music that plays in your head when it's like, need a new attitude.
Attitude adjustment.
Bring the attitude along or adjust the attitude. And that's definitely an aspect of acclimating to the new normal. Now there's also other people that are like, yes, great. Everything was stagnant. I wanted some new excitement, a new adventure, new stories to tell. And so oftentimes the new normal is not even a problem. It's like, yay, finally we get something shifted. Everything was so stagnant for a while.
Right.
Yeah. So how's the new normal for you?
So
all the new normals.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I have in my mind when I think of new normal. The point of just having this human experience is to adapt and change, right? Because if we are facilitating growth in our lives, it's all about doing just that, adapting, changing, adapting. As you grow, you're having a new normal on a regular basis. And so that isn't anything new, but how I've learned to navigate it is. And we talk about having these tools in our toolbox and how beneficial they are to have these options and these ways to help us in different circumstances. And so I think about that. The beginning of the year definitely came in with a bang. I have bittersweet feelings towards everything that has gone on in the last 30 days for me because, there's a lot of gratitude that I have on both sides of it. Ooh, those sound bowls are getting loud. Can you guys hear them? Vibrating through the walls. Woo! We're gonna get a little sound healing tonight through
Mhm.
wanderings.
Oh boy.
Now I don't remember where I was, but it's just like the exit analogy that you brought up, and I was talking about a little earlier today. We work so I wouldn't I maybe choosing the words "we work so hard" isn't really quite the wording I want to use because being mindful of what we say because words have power. Um, but just having clarity in the directions that we're going, nothing nothing we do is ever going to go as planned.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter how much we manifest, how much we plan, how much we set goals. That is not the way that things are meant to go when you are living in a life of flow and trusting that the universe has your back, if you will. And so, with that being said, every day is a new normal, in my opinion. Like every day, if you're just surrendering and allowing whatever is going to happen in the moment or for your day play out, then you're always going to be adapting to some kind of new, right? Because every day is different. Every day offers you new opportunities or new growth experiences or new ways of healing or new friends and new experiences and things like that. And so, uh, a new normal isn't just an experiential thing when something big happens. It's actually something that can take place, moment by moment in my
That's definitely true.
yeah, I'm not sure if that's gonna get distracting.
You know,
Sometimes those bowls get really high pitched.
it's funny how the experience on this end of the camera is what it is, and for the viewers, what it would be like. But for us, we're being serenaded by the bowls, which is lovely.
It's
So
so good.
as you were talking, I was realizing that a new normal. So, um, of course, we incorporate lots of things in the show, and then human design is an aspect that is just an every moment, everyday thing for me personally, and anyone that I can infect with it or inspire with it. I want it to be an aspect of their life too. So, for generators or manifesting generators, I want to talk for a minute about a new normal. And every single day when you wake up, it's a new normal because are designed to live in response. That means that plans are fine, but plans are not in response. Plans are a manifester kind of an idea or, an outline. But the more that I've lived in my design and I'm a manifesting generator, boy, howdy, am I a manifesting generator. But the other day. I was like, such a manifesting generator. But learning to live in response means that when I wake up, I have a general idea about my day. And then the universe actually goes about telling me or showing me in many ways what my day is going to be versus the plan. And so for us generators and manifesting generators, it really is a new normal every day. Every day you wake up, you think that you know what it's going to be like, and you have no idea when these shifts happen, when there's something to respond to. And so the new normal is just a very good um, idea about living your life and just being available and understanding that everything is temporary, everything is shifting, everything's evolving. Nothing
Mhm.
is static in this world or in us. Blood's pumping, breath's going all the time. And so everything is always shifting.
Always.
Always.
And speaking of always, you always bring up human design because that is your gig. That is what
Mhm.
you do. And so when you're talking about manifesting generators and generators living in response, I don't relate to that because I am neither one. I am a manifester. And so I am an initiator and initiating, uh, as you would say it, um, do nothing and everything gets done.
Oh, yeah. Do without doing,
Do
and
without
everything
doing and
gets done.
everything gets done. But there's a lot of planning and things that go into that. It isn't as in flow for me at this point in my life. However, I have realized when I just set little tiny uh positions in place, like little tiny things in place, it does have this really beautiful way of connecting. And so it's not something that I have to control step by step. It really does fall into place and it really does work out. And working with you more on a regular basis through this transition where we would connect, several times a week and you had your schedule and I was just always there working. And I mean, I'm still always here working, but in a different capacity, right?
Right.
And so I'm on schedules and Natalie doesn't work on schedules. Just because of her design and her definition and things like that. And so just knowing that has been educational and has given me opportunity to support who Natalie is in her design and also her with mine because she knows a lot about me in my design more than I even know. And so she doesn't take it personally when I'm like, you said you were going to be here at 10.
It's true.
And Natalie's like, I did. But also, Natalie shouldn't be making promises she can't keep.
That is correct.
She
I
doesn't
shouldn't
have,
make promises, period.
yeah.
Not that I can't keep, just period. Yes.
Right. And so it's just interesting to like learn these little nuances when it comes to the design. And it really does help navigate when it comes to like our particular experiences right now with our new normal.
Right.
Because for those of you who don't know, like last time we were on YouTube, we made an announcement that we had decided to leave KGRA. And if you guys want to hear that, you can go back and listen to that. We don't need to go over that anymore. Still lots of gratitude, right? We still love them.
Yes.
And if you guys want to listen to any past episodes, please do. I'm assuming they're going to host them for a minute, maybe. I'm not sure, but years and years of shows. So hopefully they do. And when we made that decision, there was also a decision made around the same time that we're going to move locations. So I had this foundation of a retail shop and a couple of session rooms and a classroom. But, the economy is just so different now. And retail is not what it used to be. And it was just causing, nobody any happiness. Let's just be honest. Everyone involved, we just weren't happy with the way things were working out. And so I wanted to live my purpose. And that is offering just different types of energy modalities and healing modalities. And Natalie wanted a bigger classroom space and, these things where we would be able to come together and create the new normal. And so we shifted what vibes look like. We moved from one location to another. And we've only been here for 10 days, not very long.
No.
And everything has just flowed as if it was always meant to be. We've been very fortunate, very grateful for the way that things have worked out. And also there's that bittersweetness, right? Because the people who were with us and not with us, like there's just like these new things going on. And so there's grief involved and there's loss involved and there's these changes involved. And even though some of them, like the retail where we didn't want to do that all of the time, to a more flowy schedule where we could assist more takes place, that's great. It's all great, but it is new. And so this new normal thing has to take place. And so it's all about navigating and learning to, um, you know, I say roll with the punches for lack of better words, but really that's what it is. So I think attitude has a lot to do with it. And also like really knowing yourself and being the healthiest version of yourself so that things can transition smoothly.
Indeed. So in transitions also, we've gone through some team. I want to bring up in a new normal. There is a long-standing adage. Let me just say it that way. That says that when you're coming together as a group, even when after a shift, then you can say storming, forming, and norming. So as there's a new normal, then you're going to go through some storminess. And definitely when you're learning, it's fun when you're learning new people and new personalities or same personalities, but you're going through something like a move, then that definitely can bring out some things. And it's important to have, let's see, it's important to have patience and allowance and be in the flow and space and compassion and all those things in new normals. Compassion for yourself, compassion for others, because things are stressful and everybody deals with stress different. And during those times, there's adjustments to made. And that's one of the things that we went through. And we are fostering a culture and an environment where everybody gets to be themselves. And that's what we want everyone to be able to be. So it's things that we were going through personally, but it definitely happens in new normals, is that under pressure or under stress, what's inside of us comes out. And sometimes it's not the pretty stuff that's currently inside of us.
Right.
And then when we get squeezed and under these pressure times, and there's some healing, some shifting of energy. And so there's a lot of aspects that go through this. So we're going to talk about, like, if we were talking about a new normal, like a death, and then everybody that has the shared loss. And we can talk about shared loss that have maybe someone dying, but there's lots of different ways of having a shared loss. And then you have everybody that is interacting with the loss from their perspective, which is always different from anyone else's perspective. So we are not always on our most best behavior, or we would want everyone to behave as best as possible in the hardest of times, and it really is not realistic that happens. So to bring that up, because new normals do stress people, and there happens to be a lot of issues some additional issues or different personality clashes, or people can say things that are not healthy, could be hurtful. All of these things can come up after a shift. So be mindful of that. So it's important to also just keep in mind that when we get squeezed, what's inside comes out. And sometimes we just have some garbage in there.
That is very true. Yeah. Yeah. I did learn a lot about myself in the last 30 days because a lot did transpire. And it was so different this time around compared to times past because of all of the things that I learned in the last few years. So everyone was asking, "Aren't you so stressed? This is so much stress. There's so much going on. So it's so stressful." And I honestly didn't feel any stress. It's like a resolution, and all of that stress went away, and then there was work to do. Overwhelm and pressure, absolutely. That was but then navigating that, right? And learning that I have been trained for this my whole life, pretty much. Uh, it's interesting that when the things start occurring, you're able to take this pause and really take a moment and realize that all of these experiences, ooh, that one's a high one. All of these experiences that we've had up until this point have been teachers, right? We're always learning. And so, with that being said, all of the things that we need to know in this moment, we already know. It's really just taking that pause to remember, oh, I have all the answers. I know what to do next. Everything's inside of me. All I have to do is activate that tool or have that remembering, and then you can navigate your way through so much easier than having life squeeze you and all of that stuff come out of you that way. We have a question in the chat room. Thanks, Ronald. So far, what has been your biggest challenge? Does that mean in life? Our biggest challenge in life, or navigating a new normal? Clarify a little bit, because biggest challenge ever. The list is long. Am I right?
Well, that is right.
The biggest challenge ever is being a human. Can we all relate?
Oh, being stuck in this body, right?
He says, on this new normal. So personally, what do you feel? I'll let you answer that one.
So I have, so I'm a number 4. And so anytime a life path, we've talked about numerology before, but I'm a life path 4. And when you shift the foundation for a 4, because we're here to overcome issues about stability. So we really like stability. So I have a chiropractor that I go to, and I was just like, I feel not synced in my body. And I tested up for overwhelmed. And so that's one of the things that wasn't necessarily biggest challenge, but it was so I actually keep my life is pretty steady, doesn't have a lot of drama or massive changes. So this was a big change and a big shift. And I thought I was doing fine, but then I would bump into things, or I just knew that I was off. And so I think that's the biggest challenge, is just remaining steady, but then not steady and adjusting. But gratefully, I have these tools that I use to tune myself on a regular basis, and I can easily get that synced up. And it's lovely how having the regular maintenance that I do within my own energy field and my body, that really lets me flow without getting too sidetracked for too long or too off kilter. And so I was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Okay. Which I realized is probably part of my design anyway, taking in a lot of extra stress energy that was left me a little ungrounded. And I definitely prefer to have my feet on the ground. So that was mine that was happening. And what about you?
Well, if we're talking about like our year so far and the changes that have occurred this year, I'm assuming that's what you're asking, Ronald. The biggest thing has been the biggest challenge for me, what I would have to say, is trusting the fall, right? It's a trust fall when it comes to these kind of big changes. Like, it feels like everything is out of your control, which in a lot of ways it is, because what's meant to be is just going to be. That's just the way that it works. and just surrendering to what is and knowing that whatever takes place is for my best and highest good. Nothing is bad. And so having this experience, even though things have been challenging and overwhelming, I really have been in this beautiful place of peace and surrender that I know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And I trust that with all of my being. Now, that is not something that I would have done maybe even 5 years ago. This has been an ongoing uh, journey of getting to know myself on a deeper level and healing a lot of the trauma that I've carried with me for so long. And really being aware of how energy plays a role in and around my body and in my experiences. And it's all about wanting to have a certain vibe in my life. And the only person that can control how I feel and how I react to whatever situation, good, bad, or indifferent, is me. And so, as far as a challenge goes, I think being in that mindset constantly, all day, every day for a month has been challenging because your mind wants to take front driver's seat, right? Your mind
Right.
wants to come in and say, "Oh, but that's not true." And you're just being woo woo and nothing you feel is true, like is right. You're just being positive, toxically positive. Not everything can be that, easy and it's really not. It is a practice that you develop and then you strengthen. And so I think I've just gotten to the point where I've learned all of these things and then I got tested to see if I really learned all of these things. Seriously. And it was like that. And it has been like that. I feel like it's going to continue to be like that for a minute, right? Because this
Right.
new normal isn't done. We're,
No.
we're still at the very beginning of a lot of ways this is going to look going forward. And not just with the change with our environment at work. I really don't like saying work because
No.
I'm all
Doesn't feel
work.
like work.
But in life in general, just because this is changing, but we had to adapt because the economy had changed.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was honestly the number one biggest reason. The second reason, obviously, is we just wanted to help on a deeper level. We wanted to help more people, and we just could not do that in the environment we were in. But number one, we couldn't keep on doing the things we were doing because the economy just didn't support that anymore. And when I say the economy, I know that literally, no, like trust that the universe was like, no, like how many times do I have to tell you this is not how it's supposed to be? And it found a way to make us super uncomfortable and the people around us to be done. And we got pushed. We all got squoze. And so that's just what happened. And you know, if you aren't listening to all of the nudges and you're ignoring, the universe will find a way to push you, to force you to go on that exit because there's no other route. You're supposed to go there. And I think that's what happened. I trust that's what happened.
Oh, I agree. The other thing is understanding that what we're talking about is actually the way that it works in the world. And so I'm sure people listening and or tuning in later to a replay are having their own personal experiences
Right.
where they're getting nudged by the universe and there's shifts and changes that are happening. So that's the way it works. The universe pushes us around. It just really does. So It's interesting.
Headlights.
I know. I get distracted. I was like, there is something behind me. And
A new
then I can
normal,
keep my,
doing soul wanderings in our offices.
there's headlights. I have a door right there by a parking lot. And so this thread that I was thinking about with the changes and the flow, and I want to tag back into what you were saying, the couple of things that are mantras to me, or their go-tos that help me calibrate myself, is how I do one thing is how I do life. And then the other thing is you fight how you train. And so, not that life is a fight per se, but the reality is when you're met with a challenge, it could seem like a fight, could seem like a struggle, but however you train in your regular everyday life is how you're going to meet the challenge, because you can't meet a challenge with tools that you haven't cultivated. So awareness takes a level of discipline. Now, when I'm talking about discipline, I'm talking about however you do one thing is how you're going to come to life, and that's what you bring to the table. And so a regular and consistent framework of addressing in life, that's a normal. And that's what you will, the characteristics and your regular behavioral patterns and your thinking habits and whatever script runs in your head, that's what you take into any struggle that you will encounter along the road. That's where we talk about a lot of things on the show about adjusting the thinking, or it all that does matter, because when you get confronted by life or the test, which does happen in life, we do get tested because the universe likes us to learn for its benefit. We're the part benefit. Of it. Well, right, for our benefit, but also for the bigger collective benefit of this Maya, the way that it works with this greater universe of however this consciousness. So when I personally perceive that we're all in this drama or in this show or in this movie or in this
video game
simulation illusion, like, and we're here. Right? How do I make that movement again?
You just mash buttons, Natalie, don't you know?
Mash. I am certain my 7-year-old nephew would beat me.
I'm sure my 2.5-year-old grandson would beat me, and he doesn't even play video games.
He probably will. So those types of things are important, and there's any moment we're given the opportunity to adjust and reflect and have an awareness, and through awareness, then things can change and adjust, and you can shift through that awareness of learning how to see life and shift your perspective, all those things that benefit in troubled times. And we're definitely in troubled times where you can have a regular and consistent uncertainty about what's going to happen next in 2025.
I know you wouldn't consider yourself psychic, and it is a little off topic, but do you have any predictions for 2025 based on the things that you've listened to or that you have felt on? I'm just curious.
So there is a guy that I listen to, and his mantra for this year is endeavor to survive 2025. And already this year we've had 2, 3, 4 plane crashes. There's these things already right off the bat that didn't have anything to do with anything political, but they were.
Are you sure?
Or maybe they do. Who even knows? Who even knows anymore? This is the thing about, okay, so we don't know where things are coming from. I watch things on Facebook, and I'm just like, I wonder what that source really is from. when people start sending these things and information and say, you should pay attention to this. And it's like, wonder who typed that up first? How did that get out there in that type of thing? So as far as my predictions go, I just know it's going to be a turbulent. And so already with those plane crashes, I feel like it's going to be like that we're going to go along and then we're going to just, we're going to have all these throughout the year.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
What it is, I don't think anyone for sure really knows.
How can we know?
No, I don't think the universe likes us to know beforehand. Where would be the surprise if we all got told?
Right?
So what about you?
Well, I haven't tried or even had the time, I should say.
You haven't.
I've been like work, eat, sleep, repeat. You know, I still meditate every day, and that's like really important for me to do. And even if it's just 5 minutes or 15 minutes. So some things have come through for me, and I can't predict anything. I know that because there's going to be a lot of chaos and a lot of change in the world, there's going to be, a percentage of people who are going to just lose their ever living minds. And I think that the economy is going to, go down and up and down and up and level itself out somehow. I also think like there's going to be a lot of chaos surrounding big events, just like maybe perhaps the Super Bowl. There's going to be a lot of things happening as far as disclosure goes. You know, they think they've lied to us, but we know, like people, we just know. And I think it's interesting to be lied to for so long. People are going to start getting really defiant, like enough is enough. And I hope in that there's going to be an uprising. I do hope that it's peaceful, but there are those people in lower vibrations where it won't be peaceful. And I think it's really important for us to prepare. I mean, they've been saying that for years. Prepare, have a food storage, buy gold, silver, get crypto, do whatever, do this and that, whatever. And, I say be prepared in the ways that you would want to be prepared if, A, B, or C happened. We don't know what's going to happen, just like you said. But I think it's wise to be prepared on some level, in some way, like with food and with supplies and medicine and things like that, because we saw what happened 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. We saw what happened. People lost and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And if that happened so easily, I mean, history repeats itself. Things are going to happen again. And so what did you learn from last time? Do better this time, I hope. But yeah, I think this year there's a lot to be said about what's going to happen, but none of us really know. I just know personally, I don't want to be in any large crowds. I don't want to be on a plane, and I also don't want to live in fear. And so you've got to like continue to live your life, but just be aware of your surroundings and the people around you, because you think you know someone, but nobody knows anyone. Like even the people you would suspect of doing something wackadoo, they end up being the wackadoos. You just
Sometimes.
don't know.
Nope.
You really just don't know. And so I think it's important just to, for right now, the day and age that we're in, if we're going to raise the vibration as a collective and be on a different timeline, because timelines are shifting and we are having this split take place. Like some people will stay in the third dimension and some people will go to the fifth. And granted, we may be neighbors and see each other, but there's not going to be the same awareness. And I think it's important to go inward right now. And people are passionate about causes, and they are passionate about what is happening in our environments and like with politics and their rights. And it's great. Have passions, right? Stand up for yourself, but also like what kind of environment do you have on the inside? Like what can you actually control? And what does that look like? And really focus on that. Go inward. And the more that we can work on ourselves individually, healing ourselves emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, that's how we're all going to be able to like jump these timelines and be in a different algorithm altogether. Like all of that other stuff won't even be in your awareness. And so I could
Right.
say all of these things are going to happen, but are they going to affect you? It depends. Where are you at in your spiritual journey?
Mhm. That is definitely well stated. Another thing that I want to mention is that there's a lot of planetary energy going on, and lunar eclipses and planets go in and out of retrograde. In addition to that, with the understanding within the framework of the human design, there's activations, and there is everybody on the planet is going to be emotionally defined. That's off. That transit is currently off, but it's going back on in just a few days on the 11th of February. And that's going to extend for a couple of months. I don't even know for sure how long it goes. But that means every person on this planet is going to be experiencing emotional wave. What does that mean in just layman terms? It means that however powerful that emotional energy feels, there isn't truth in it. So you have
There
if
is
you're
not.
listening there's no truth in the now with emotional energy. There's a lot of energy in it. And so it's important for these times to, even though it's easy to get super reactionary, to understand that only over time will things be clear. And even so, there's a lot of people that are being rattled by like some of the changes that are going within the federal government, but exactly what that means isn't going to be clear for a while. There's definitely not clarity. And I worked for the federal government, and it's like a lot of things that get instituted like that are not clear and over time. So things become clear over time.
Mhm.
And so allowing for time to unfold in a lot of things, that's going to be important for all of us. If you're listening and get this opportunity, just let the dust settle. We're benefited by waiting. We really, really are. Unless it's your destiny to jump into the fray. Maybe it is. There's some people
Maybe it
that are
is.
destined to jump into the fray, so I don't want to tell anyone, to even imagine that. I'm just giving just insight and wisdom to say, pay attention, allow for the dust to settle, because
Mhm.
it's an important skill set to have in these troubled times. You don't wanna go in, but then there's some people that's their destiny, so I wouldn't take anyone's destiny away. There's some people, like you were mentioning, that it's their role to be in those crowds or in those places where the passion is stirred, and it's their job. And some
Mhm.
people know that.
Right.
It's not
We
mine.
need both sides in order to have this human experience, right?
Right.
Diversity and all of that
Yeah.
all of that stuff. It's part of the game, the
It
video
is.
game that we're playing.
It is.
Pew,
But sometimes
pew.
it's just important to grab the popcorn,
Sit
just
back
sip
and watch the show.
and watch the show, and don't get too wrapped up. If it's, we can really be pulled with our compassion, and we can
Mhm.
start to worry and fret over people's lives that are disturbed that aren't near us. And that's understandable and admirable, but it can also be distracting, and it can pull you away from where you are personally in your now, in your home environment. And that's not helpful to get too wrapped up in something that doesn't, like you were mentioning earlier, is not even, this may not even affect you other than being able to see it on a news feed. But that doesn't mean that it's your fight. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's your worry and fret.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's ways of worrying about people that are going through troubled times, or intentionally sending well-being and positive energy to people to support them in what they're going through. So it would encourage the latter versus just worrying about people, because
Right.
there's no space and time between us. And so we can do a lot by holding a higher vibration.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I have like a handful of my friends who are really playing into the narrative right now and in this space of fear and protest and that's not fair. And being in an office is interesting. That threw me off. um, just being in this different vibration than where I'm at right now, and nothing is wrong or right, right? It just is. And so, as a witness from the place that I stand and watch that, it just feels really heavy and gives me anxiety and stresses me out. And I don't want to be aloof to what's going on in the world. I have an awareness of what's going on to the world. I also have this knowing of what my role is in this world, where I stand right now. And so not attaching to any of that or the outcome of any of that. I just get to observe where they're at and in a state of compassion and support them through what they're experiencing for themselves. And I know by doing that, that's not how I want to feel, and that's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to be like in this little la la land, like everything is wonderful, because that's not truth either, right? There's still things going on, but I think choosing the thought of what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of really does decrease the anxiety or the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy to feed onto that. It's really easy to jump into that space, and it is addictive. And so when you're around people who are feeling that, it's easy for you to get anxiety and catch the fear. And so being mindful of the people you're surrounding yourself with. And granted, some people have these people who are in this state in their daily lives, like they're married to them or they're a sibling or a coworker. Just learning not to attach to what they're saying and let it just pass you by instead of like feed into the narrative.
Right.
I think is really important. We have another question. With some of the chaos in the world, how do you navigate?
So I want to give up.
Meaning some of the tough challenges and topics. I would say it's a choice. It really is a choice. What would you say?
So I'm going to talk about, we do a lot of mental processing. We collectively as humans process a lot of things mentally. With anxiety and the chaos and things like that, there is going to be utilizing your body to process that stress energy or the anxiety. So anxiety is generally fight or flight, and engaging your large muscle groups, walking, moving the body, getting some sunlight, getting away from a screen, seeing your neighborhood, seeing around what your world is
Stop
looking
watching
like.
the news.
Right. Turn the news off and turn on the exterior of your environment. There's lots of beautiful places around wherever we live. There's places to go through that doesn't have screens going on that actually. So that is one way for seriousness to navigate chaotic times. It's been interesting because I started hiking And we are blessed to live right next to some places that have some amazing trails, and like right on the mountain side, hiking up that. And what a difference it helped my lymphatic system and helped my body feel better. And I was really amazed at how well my body did without having done that before. But I can't overemphasize enough to say exercise, and it doesn't have to be hard, vigorous exercise, but getting your body up and moving it around and seeing what it's like in your world. And it is very beneficial to walk, not drive, because if you walk somewhere, you see your neighborhood differently than when you drive through it.
It's true.
And that can ground you to your personal world, which is different than a news feed.
Yeah, I agree.
That's definitely a very practical tip on navigating these chaotic times.
Yeah, where you like to go outdoors. I do love the outdoors, but I also don't like the cold. And we're in Utah, and it is freezing cold here.
Yes.
So I'm like, no thanks on the hike. And I enjoy my morning walks when the weather's nice. I go on walks in the morning. But where that's not happening, my go-to is like I call it my adult timeout, where I just don't have any responsibility. So I do something that brings me joy. So read a book or work on a project or, declutter something or do something that like gets me out of my head and into like a moment, like exercising does. And even meditating has been challenging for me lately, just because there's just so much collective energy going on right now. And really disconnecting from that and finding the stillness has been challenging. And so just meditating in different ways, like even scribbling or like doodling or writing down some of my new favorite quotes that I've come across or whatever that looks like, just to find some peace and some stillness, because the world is noisy right now and we are all navigating our way through it, and that new normal that we're referring to, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it is a process and things take time. Another thing is we are really hard on ourselves that things have to look and be a certain way. And if you can work on letting that go and just like accepting yourself for who you are and where you're at right now, give yourself some grace through these challenging times. And just because your life and your experiences don't look like someone else's doesn't mean that you're not exactly where you're meant to be.
It's true. But sometimes it just makes me think that sometimes we can be not where we're supposed to be, but
Yeah. We have a question. Does
yes.
Natalie paint? And will we see any more soul wandering AJ paintings? Yes, I will be doing a lot more creating this year because I will have a lot more freedom. And that is the plan. That is the plan.
My painting comes more along like with wood, or it's not the artistic painting you do per se.
Everything
Although
is art, in my
I'm
opinion.
sure, yes. I like to paint furniture or that type of stuff. I like to work with wood. So today that makes me smile because today I was using some polyurethane. That's what I was using a paintbrush with today.
Natalie's working on a project for our new office.
Yep, and it's I was really happy. I used my creative energy today. I was like, this feels good.
Yeah, it is good. It's all good. And you guys, we're available to you if you ever just go reach out to us. You can find us at soulwanderings.com. If you have any like show topic requests or have a question on anything we talked about the show and you want a more in-depth answer, if we can support you in any way, just reach out to us, soulwanderings.com. We have an email there. You also can find us at Vibes, and you can, let's see, you can email us. I'll put up our email address. And that way you can connect to us at soulwanderings.com. We're just really happy to help in any way that we can. That's why we've chose to show up and continue to do our shows on Wednesday night. And we're so happy to be here. It's so much fun. And we have lots of ideas. We'll be putting some more little videos on our YouTube channel as we continue to build that. It is new. So if you want to subscribe, like, share, mash all the buttons, we would really appreciate the support. And if you have a show topic and you want us to dive into it, let us know. Anything else? Did I miss something, Natalie?
No, I think you're doing really well. It's fun. This feels different, but it really feels wonderful to be able to do our own thing,
Yeah,
in our spaces.
And also, we couldn't do this own thing if we didn't have the foundation that was offered to us previously.
That is correct. Yes.
So much gratitude to the previous people and places. And we have one more question before we close out. If you imagined a place of peace, where would it be?
Oh, well, my name is Peace, so it's I carry that with me everywhere. But if I were to imagine, there's so many things that go flooding through but for me personally, the mountains. I love being among evergreens like fir trees. And so on one of the hikes that I've taken this year, just in January, I discovered I really enjoy walking through the snow. There's a trail and it's snow covered, and when you go high enough, I'm up in the Douglas fir trees and right next to the rocks. There's this one rock, the big, massive boulder that's exposed. I just leaned against it, just like feel the mountain and the tree. So that's really peaceful for me. That's my place. What about you?
When I think of peace, this is going to sound kind of corny, and it's taken a long road to get here to even say this. But when I want to connect to a place of peace, I connect to myself.
That's true for your design. You carry that with you. I love watching you discover that, because you demonstrate to me how the form really works. That we are different. There's different auras. And it's been really delightful to be able to explore the different auras and really the form and function of different auras, like watching you experience your manifestor nature and to experience peace that's different than the rest of us have. Super cool that you have that and that you've been able to experience it. Because that's your life signature. You're here to experience peace. And then it's there with you. It's like,
well, and it's what I want to offer other people, right? And the more that I work on myself in my healing journey, in my spiritual journey, in my knowledge journey, and in all the ways, then I can show up for others as a peaceful space where they can retreat to when they need that.
Such an impact.
It's important to me that I am my truest self so that I can be a tool for someone else. So with that being said,
lovely doing this with you.
Thank you. I want to thank all of the listeners who have joined us tonight on our first official
Mhm.
YouTube night. We really appreciate the love and support. We have gotten a lot of feedback already, not just tonight on the show, but just, you know, in the in between of announcing the changes and you guys just showing up tonight. It really means a lot to us and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And next week we'll be back with a new topic. Same time, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain. And we'll see you guys all then.
Have a
Good night for
great
now.
have a good one.